Hello and welcome to the Temple at Homes with your host, Indie Comics Jones. Today is May 19th, 2021. This is episode 305. Vietnam Horror is what we're looking at today. This is the number 3 issue in this series. It comes out by Behemoth Publishing. And I want to say that this is a total recommend if you're into horror. Boy, this thing is something else. Okay, take a quick look at the cover. It's kind of hard to tell what's going on here, but there's monsters that they're shooting at here on the side. You really can't tell from this. You've got, looks like some Viet Cong in there, and it's just crazy. It's just one of the craziest comics I've read. Let's talk about who worked on this real quick. I'm not sure who's the writer and who's the artist, but Massimo Rossi and Vito Coppoloa. I hope I said that right. Coppoloa, something like that. This is like a mix between Apocalypse Now, Alien, Full Metal Jacket. What else can I throw in there? Boy, it's just crazy. The 13th Warrior a little bit even. It just crazy stuff just happens in this, and you don't know what's going to happen next, basically. And in this, we start off this panel. If you recall, Colton had gone down into one of the tunnels. He was trying to find the tunnel rats, and he found his buddy's head on a stake underneath there. His buddy had fallen into a pit of spears, and they were unable to get him out in time after they became under a heavy fire. So when they went back to retrieve him, he was gone. And later, Colton found his head on a stake. When he tried to remove it, apparently the head had been hollowed out, and a snake came right out of the mouth, and that's the snake that he ended up killing here. That happened at the end of the issue too, but it just gets worse for this group of soldiers. So as he lays there contemplating everything that's going on, and then you can see the head of I think his name, oh boy, I can't remember if it was Hooper or something like that. He wanted to take that head back to camp with them so they could have some kind of funeral for him. But instead, he gets very, very angry, starts clawing his way through this tunnel. He sees a light up ahead, and he just keeps crawling, and suddenly sees all these people and just kind of like praying. And as he pops out through the tunnel hole, there's this immense, looks like a root system from maybe a banyan tree or something like that, with skulls and arms and all kinds of weird things going on with it. And there's body parts that are stuck on stakes there, and people are just kind of worshiping this whole thing. Just really freaky. And then in the center here, there's this person or human that's chained to this altar. So just really crazy, crazy stuff. Meanwhile, back at the camp, we have our one survivor from one of the earlier patrols who came back with this weird scar on his chest. And he had been doing okay, but suddenly he is awake. He's panicking. He's telling them to kill him because he feels it growing inside him, and they're saying, no, we'll give you some morphine. And you can see right here, his face begins to split. Just horrifying, just crazy. And this thing starts popping out of him, and you can see it. This is kind of like that alien moment I was talking about. He's got 3 attendants by, plus a doctor there. And before they know it, this thing is up and just freaking out. It just got this wild tongue. It's trying to grab some of the people around it. This guy's shooting it. It doesn't seem to do any good. At the same time, you see the bullets went right through him. It didn't do anything. He's notes that there's some oxygen tanks there on the side there. Just as he gets pinned down, the other two are able to escape really quickly, and he's pinned down he moves his M16 over here and shoots the oxygen, causing a huge explosion, blowing everybody back. And you can see that creature's got like somebody inside its mouth or whatever is sucking it in. As the doctor looks on in horror. Meanwhile, we've got the group of reinforcements coming up the river. They're just kind of taking their sweet time. They have no idea what's happening at this camp. But they're apparently this is like their last tour, so they go up there, then they get to go home. But they're in for a shock when they get there. Meanwhile, the people that were outside in one of the tunnels waiting for Colton to come back up note that there's a gurgling sound in the tunnel. And as they get closer, they realize the tunnel's being flooded. And they know their buddy's down there, and they're trying to figure out how to get him. And suddenly, just as they realize they can't get to him, there's Viet Cong show up and start opening fire on them. So this gentleman decides to duck under, and you can see he's going underneath into this cave, dark cave with these dead bodies next to him. Just crazy, and he is pulled out at the hole finally, and taken to what I'm assuming is going to be some kind of internment camp by the Viet Cong there. And we're back in the cave, and Colton is approaching the altar. He's coming up on this weird creature that's or human or whatever that's chained up, and suddenly the chain releases, and this thing just freaks out. It looks female, but it's got some weird head or face or something, and it's got strange joints as well, where the ankles can bend crazy, and the wrist can bend crazy. And as it bends, it actually disperses these bugs onto Colton, and it goes into his skin as these other people, these civilians or whatever they are, just kind of sit there and not move. And suddenly the creature loses the shroud that's over him, and it knows Colton's name and starts talking to him and starts taunting him about something that perhaps happened when he was back in the States. Just phenomenally crazy. As you can see, it just gets crazy. She emits some kind of gas from her, which he breathes in. That's going to probably transform him somehow, and she passes away. It says in the earth, seek it in the mountain. So whatever that means, some kind of clue. Meanwhile, back at the camp, while the camp's on fire, they're rushing to try to make sure everything is the fire's put out as best they can. Then suddenly the doctor makes a move. He sees the creature moving in there, and he runs into the fire. And this is the shot we're left with. Suddenly it goes dark, and there's an eclipse happening. Now, part of the story is that all the platoon that's there, stationed at this camp here at the foot of this mountain and jungle, they're all having the same dream, and they didn't realize it at first, this horrible nightmare. But part of this nightmare was it occurs during an eclipse, and now the eclipse has happened. So for issue 4, I think we're going to see a lot more death, destruction, horror, terror. And that's what Vietnam Horror number 3 is about. It does qualify for, let's see where I put this, I'll put it up here. Indie Comics Jones, good excavating seal of approval, given out only by Indie Comics Jones on the Indie Comics Jones channel. So thank you for stopping by and listening to this review. Sorry, it's a little ranting and raving here, but this is one crazy, crazy comic. If you like horror, if you like Vietnam stories and things like that, this one is for you. I'll have more reviews this coming week. I am taking a vacation, but I'm going to try to post during my vacation. As always, please like, please subscribe, please leave comments, and I'll see you next time at the Temple of Tomes. As always, this is Indie Comics Jones bidding you adieu.